Bilateral ties between Korea and Japan have long been complicated at best, but this time around the relationship has soured to a point where the Japanese ambassador has been recalled to Tokyo following dispute over the so-called comfort women issue. It's been over 2 months and counting, but there's still no news of his return. Oh Soo-young goes to Tokyo to see where this rocky relationship is going for our news feature tonight.
Diplomatic relations between Korea and Japan remain in deadlock after Japan pulled out its Korean ambassador and Busan consul-general in early January. The temporary withdrawal was ordered by Tokyo after civic activists erected a statue outside the Japanese consulate in Busan, Korea's second largest city.
在釜山の日本総領事館前の少女像の設立は極めて遺憾であり
정부는 일본 정부가 주 부산 일본 총영사관 앞 소녀상과 관련하여 오늘 가기에서 결정한 조치에 대해 매우 유감스럽게 생각한다.
Tokyo claims that the statue, a girl that represents the victims of Japan's wartime sex slavery program, violates the landmark agreement it reached with Seoul in December 2015, with which the two governments promised the so-called comfort women issue would be finally and irreversibly resolved. Korea is also crying foul. Japanese politicians continue to make provocative remarks, and last week, Japanese high school textbooks were found to have omitted historical facts about the issue, in addition to marking the Korean islets of Dokdo as their own. This has further incensed civic groups, which believe the agreement failed to reflect the wishes of the victims themselves. It's been almost 3 months since the Japanese envoys were recalled. Will Korea and Japan break out of this predicament and get their relationship back on track? Without an ambassador to consult at the Japanese embassy, I headed to Tokyo to get some answers. The first call I made was to the Japanese Foreign Ministry. I wanted to inquire about when the Japanese ambassador to South Korea will be returning to his position.
So please ask a call to Korean embassy, please.
But it's a very simple question. Can't I just get an answer?
Can I have may I call you back? Thank you very much.
I've contacted Japan's foreign ministry several times, but it refused to give me an interview or a date when the Japanese ambassador and the consulate will return to Korea. It simply said it's in the process of reviewing the decision.
Next, I turned to some experts for their views.
Japan is very concerned. It's unsure of what to do right now before Korea appoints a new president. It seems there's nothing it can do, because any negotiation that's undertaken now may be of no use at all with the incoming administration.
We are probably not wanting any kind of revision, while we are afraid that Korean domestic political situation is going somewhere the other way. You will have presidential election, and most of the main candidates are saying that they will review or abolish the agreement.
But experts worry that keeping the ambassador's seat vacant for too long could worsen relations even further.
The presidential term begins immediately after the election without a transition. So if there's no ambassador to consult with and they can't build a relationship with the winning candidate, bilateral relations could suffer.
In fact, some far-right groups in Japan are already trying to stir up anti-Korean sentiment.
We don't need an ambassador in Korea or friendly relations. The agreement made in December 2015 was a mistake on Abe's behalf. The case was closed in 1965 when we apologized to Korea.
Experts say Korea and Japan must move forward together against all odds as strategic partners. The key element is building trust, something that was lacking over the past year.
Following pressure from Korea and America, Abe had no choice but to accept Japan's responsibility for the sex slavery issue and open the door for negotiations. So his actions, the fact that he hadn't apologized himself, for instance, have failed to convince Korea that Japan is genuinely contrite in the spirit of the agreement.
Had the leaders of both governments been more genuine and engaged with the public, we might not be where we are today. If the next Korean president reassures Japan that he or she will actively persuade the public to back the agreement, I believe relations can be rebuilt on new trust.
Japan's official apology must be followed up by actions that support it. Having politicians deny the coercion in sexual enslavement and Japan's wrongdoing violates the agreement. We need to endorse the right understanding of the deal, which is to restore the dignity of the former victims.
Meanwhile, the Japanese public seems tired of the diplomatic tensions. In fact, some people I spoke to were unaware of recent events. While those aware of contentious issues may hold differences in opinion, they believe solutions lie above politicizing of relations.
I am against the installation of the statue, so I think we need to find solutions through deeper diplomatic talks. We are neighbors, so it's vital we get along. For the younger generation, they get along well. It's just the politics that cause problems.
I wasn't taught about Japan's wartime sex slavery at school. I don't think that's right. I think we Japanese and the Koreans should learn about each other's history and find solutions.
I heard on the news that relations are bad, but I have Korean friends and there are no bad feelings between us. I like Korea and I think we should learn more about each other's countries to build better relations.
Tourism between the two countries has continued to hit new highs. Some 2.3 million Japanese tourists visited Korea in 2016, an increase of 25% from the year before. The number continued to grow in January by 13% and 28% in February. The number of Koreans travelling to Japan has also increased more than 20% in January.
Korea and Japan need to cooperate in many ways. Political differences may exist, but through various channels of exchange, points of contention can be resolved and differences could narrow.
We have to have psychological bindings, mutual trust, mutual coexistence. And I think in order to create this kind of atmosphere, culture is the best way. And the exchanges of economic goods.
While diplomatic ties may have sunk to new lows, interpersonal relationships between Korea and Japan seem livelier than ever. Perhaps the time is right for hard diplomacy to move past the politics and catch up with the times, in order to find workable solutions to long-standing issues of the past. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News, Tokyo.